Alright, good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. Today I'm going to be covering the Tier 10 Tech 3 French Battleship, the Republique. Here it is. It's been in the game for a long time, but Wargaming decided to buff it recently. I think it's a welcome change. I think most people wanted it to get buffed in general. Maybe they wanted it to get buffed maybe a bit better than it did. It got a 0.1 Sigma change. This video, we'll talk a bit about the Sigma. But mostly we're talking about the build I'm going to be running for this video, because it's a pretty wild build. Now, of course, I'm going to show you two builds. The one I've been running and the one you probably should be running. Okay, those are two very different builds. And, of course, I will feature a game. This one won't be live commentary. This one will be a replay. But I will talk over it and give it a commentary, of course. It's just a really good game that I really wanted to highlight. And yeah, I think it showcases the build really well, actually, of course. But I'll still talk about my thought process, etc. in the video, about what I'm doing in the positions, etc. and everything. So don't worry about that. I know you prefer live commentary, and I get it. But sometimes, either I don't have enough time to record a video, or there's just a really good game that I really want to feature. And this is one of those cases where I really want to feature it. But let's start off with the armor layout for Republic. It has 32mm armor everywhere, which means it's pretty bad, right? It is actually horrible armor. But down here, the side plating, actually, those are your torpedo bulges. And there, actually, a lot of shells, when they go in, enemy ships will actually get torpedo hit protection hits for the most part. And therefore, even though Republic's covered in 32, if they hit this section here, for the most part, they will actually do torp damage reduction. Sometimes it does pen though, and when it does pen, you also have a chance of it hitting the Citadel. Now, you do have a 70mm turtle back here, and the Citadel sits kind of like slightly above the water, but you can still get Citadeled. It's very hard to get Citadeled in Republic, but it's not something you should just sail full broadside in regardless. Angling is very important, because if you just sail full broadside, you're going to eat huge pen damage. For my commander build, hold on. Okay, this is the one we're going to be running for the video, okay? So I'm running Gun Feeder, Emergency Repair Specialist, Grease the Gears, Long Range Secondary Battery Shells, Adrenaline Rush, Improved Repair Party Readiness, Close Quarters Combat, and Furious. But that's not the worst part, guys. For my equipment, I have Unique Upgrade, Main Battery Fire Control Station, Ship Consumables Mod 1, Prop Mod 1, Aiming System Mod 1, Engine Boost Mod 1, and Damage Control Party Mod 1. For a actual build for the ship, by the way, just to show you, this would be a proper Republic build. Actually, let me just spec it out really quick on equipment here for you guys to know. For my recommendation for a build, this would be the build: preventative maintenance, gun feeder, grease the gears, brisk, adrenaline rush, emergency repair expert, concealment expert, and fire prevention expert. Just a standard build, realistically. And for equipment, main battery mod 3, concealment system mod 1, prop mod 1, aiming system mod 1, engine boost mod 1, and damage control party mod 1. But for the case of this video, the build I will be showing is this one, the gorilla build, for your entertainment, of course, purposes. I've actually been doing really well with this build, by the way. It might look suboptimal, but I've been doing really well with it. Exterior camouflage, we've got the standard French permanent camouflage here. I think it looks awesome. By the way, I love using the sport. I think it's awesome as well. We also have the alternate, which I think actually looks really good on the Republic. This white and blue looks really good. We also have the Transformers camo, which kind of doesn't change much, but you get like a little dinosaur transformer here. I don't think he turns into anything. He should, I think, maybe. But as you can see, you get some nice little turret designs. And I believe in the game he'll sit on the turret. Yeah, and he does start screaming and stuff, which is interesting. But my favorite, actually, camo for the Republic is the Paris camo. This space camouflage for Republic. This is what it looks like. I think it looks awesome in-game and in port. It is one of the older space camouflages, not one of the newer ones. but I still actually really like it. I think it looks pretty good. So that's pretty cool. If you're wondering what steel camo looks on Repub, like this, I guess. But there you go. For ship characteristics, I'll cover them right now. These are with this build. But I think we should go straight into the game after. So if you want to just skip straight to that, you totally can. We have 97,050 HP, 37% torpedo damage reduction. Main guns, we have 19.2 reload with this build, 19.8 gun range. We've got, yeah, that's kind of it there. Secondary range is 11 on this build, but our secondaries are going to be pretty useless. The point of taking secondary range on this build, I'll explain everything in the game, actually, so we don't take too long in the port. AA defense, pretty bad overall from playing it. 31.5 knots, plus 8% speed boost on Republic, not the 15. And we got 18-second rudder shift, which is pretty bad. And we got 17.5 kilometer detection with this build. Just to cover the ship characteristics on a normal build, because I'm sure you guys are wondering that. On a normal build, it would be 14.1 detection, I think. Yes, and main guns would have 26.1 kilometer range with still a 21-second reload. So still pretty good guns. Your secondary range will go down to 9.2 though, but your secondaries again aren't important for the actual ship. The secondaries on the ship are pretty bad. So I think we should go straight into the game with the Republic. It will be a commentary game, but I'll talk over it. Alright, here we are in the game on Republic. This is the matchmaking we had. This was around a day or two ago on Twitch. It's a really entertaining game actually overall, because a lot happens. And the thing with Republic is it's not that tanky, right? So you kind of need to play very well with it to not die. Of course, it does get the speed boost. But actually, fun fact, with the speed boost on, it still goes slower than Wisconsin. So Republic, even though it does have speed boost, it actually doesn't go that fast. It goes around, I think, without brisk, 34, 33.9 knots. I mean, Wisconsin goes like 34, right? And there's a lot of other battleships that go faster than it, of course. Speed boost battleships, namely, of course, as well. They all, I believe, go faster than it. But, you know, it still has 8 431mm guns. That means we're going to be able to overmatch 30mm on cruisers. So that's going to be pretty useful for us, etc. But, so why don't I recommend this build for you guys? Well, of course, you guys... I think this build is hard to make work overall, and the reward gain from it isn't too extreme. It's almost like a meme build realistically. But if you want me to cover another video in Republic with the normal build, I totally can, by the way. But, you know, I think that, you know, the playstyle doesn't really change too much. All you do, in this case, you get some reload buffs, etc. But you are punishing yourself with concealment. But namely, the unique upgrade. Why don't I recommend it for Republic? Basically, even though you get a big reload buff, I believe it's around 18% reload buff, but you lose a lot of range. I think you lose 16% range or something. I don't know. You lose a lot of range. So the trade-off is like really good reload for way less range. But we have to take it into account that we do have a reload mod in the game that's around 12%, right? So actually, you're only gaining 6% reload, which in the game translates to around 1.4 second reload. So you're losing 1.4... Sorry, you're gaining 1.4 second reload, but you're losing 6 kilometers of range, right? 6.3 actually. So you're losing a big chunk of range, and that's one of Republic's main advantages, I would say, is the high stock range, the 26 km. So you're losing that big range for the ship, only to get around a second and a bit reload. Not really a big deal. So that's why I don't recommend it realistically. You should probably just take the reload mod instead. But in the case of this game, the reason I was running this build was we were trying to get the maximum reload possible on the Republic. Now, of course, if it was an arms race game, you would get even faster reload. And if we got a French dev strike, we would have gotten an even faster reload. Yesterday, I had another game where I got around 274,000 damage. And I did actually get an Abunion dev strike, where I actually had the Abunion proc where, of course, you get the reload buff from the dev strike, making it pretty extreme. Now, for those of you wondering why I didn't play in the open here in Republic, when you're sitting in the open, you're kind of exposing yourself to take massive damage. And realistically, there is a destroyer out there on that flank. We can't really deal with it. We're just going to get harassed. It's better on, especially a map like this. You get up to the rocks very close. You get this reload buff permanently from our, this one, the close quarters combat. We're getting a 10% reload buff. Our reload is 17 seconds already on a battleship with 431mm guns. So the reload can be pretty insane. Especially these maps are really good for Republic. I would say this one, probably Estuary. It needs to be a map where you can kind of get close, but not expose yourself to flanks, etc. Now, I would say we're in a decent position here because we're not really exposed to anything. We can kind of isolate the fight with one target. When you start getting shot at by multiple ships in the ship, you are gonna take massive damage. And you'll see in this game how we are gonna take massive damage later on. This ship does take massive damage. That's kind of it, really. It's not tanky at all because of its lack of armor, I guess. It's also big. It also isn't that maneuverable. Funnily enough, it does have speed boosts, but it's not that maneuverable, you know. It still has 19-second rudder shift or 18-second rudder shift. It still doesn't go that fast, right? It's a more balanced approach to these top speed battleships that we see nowadays, where they're going 40, 43 knots, etc. And they have super acceleration, or they have super acceleration, or both, you know. So this is a more balanced approach, I would say. But at the end of the day, what ends up happening when you're a more balanced approach is the ship might not be as good as some of the new contenders, especially when it comes to dodging shells and doing well. In terms of the thought process, guys, nothing is really... I mean, there's really nothing much I can explain right now. In the game here, all we're doing is sitting in a position where we're not exposing ourselves to multiple enemy ships. If we're gonna expose ourselves to multiple enemy ships, we're gonna start taking big damage. And this is the case here where I start taking huge damage because the Cherbourg... Well, I'm showing full broadside to him. Even though I can't get Citadel, look how much damage I'm gonna be eating. But our reload is actually down to 14 seconds right now, by the way, on a 431mm guns. You notice I am letting the fires burn. This is giving me a slight reload buff. So we're up to 92,000 damage. It's good. We have AR proc. When the Massachusetts came around the corner, I started panicking. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm dead. Because, well, I could probably just take on the Cherbourg, but when the Massa comes in, it's a bit too much for me to handle. So what I end up doing here is going behind the rock and just avoiding the conflict completely. Because if I'm going to take the fight here, I'm going to be dying. Something to keep in mind with Abounion's special commander is, at 2 million potential, we'll be getting a speed increase. That's not really the big deal here, mostly. The big deal here is, at 2 million potential, with our build, we're actually going to get an extra heal as well. So that's a bit nice. So not only do we get extra stop speed when we get 2 million potential, but we also get the extra heal in this case. Only if you're running Abounion, of course. And, well, of course you can have the extra heal without Abounion. But Abounion's going to give you that top speed advantage. You go around 36 knots. With Brisk, of course, the ship will go faster. Just to name that, of course. I keep saying, of course. I'm really sorry. I'm just tired. It's the morning, you know. But there is a GK coming. GK is actually a pretty scary ship for me to deal with, because I have 32mm of armor, and GK pens 32mm of armor with its secondaries. So its secondaries are going to be doing quite a lot of damage to me. We try to get behind this rock here. We do actually magically Citadel the GK there with our rear guns, which does a big 24k salvo. You could take heavy AP, but actually it doesn't really fit on this build. You don't have enough points to take heavy AP in this case. It also will make you burn way worse, and that's not something you want to be doing. We don't even have fire prevention, so... Like I said, the thought process here is to minimize damage. I'm going to repeat this, guys, because it's very important with this build especially. Our thought process here is to minimize damage intake, but trying to also get damage output every, well, 15, 20 seconds, right? Or less. It's actually 15 seconds right now because of Adrenaline Rush. You could also run the other French Captain for improved Adrenaline Rush if you want faster reload too. I think Abounion, though, overall does give you some nice perks when you do get a Dev Strike, when you do get that cap, when you do get that devs 2 million potential, sorry. But yeah, in this case, like I said, we're just trying to minimize damage intake from all the ships, and of course trying to get some damage output. But at the same time, we need to keep in mind that there is a GK here, Iwami. Does Iwami have torps? I believe it does. It does. So in this case, we have to angle to the Iwami. We have to respect it because it does have torps, and if he torps us, it's gonna do massive damage because it does have Japanese torps. They do higher damage than other torps. But as you can see, we're trying to defeat this Oregon. It's a test ship. I can't really talk about those ships, I think, so I'm not really gonna get into it. But there it is. It does die magically, but the Iwami comes out full broadside. I'm panicked. He's gonna torp me, right, guys? Of course. There it is. Again, I say it again. Boom. Let's see. Let's roll the dice. Boom. We get a triple citadel with 4 shell hits. We did kill him. We got high caliber. Triple citadel was insane to watch. We're up to 216k damage. But this is the lucky thing about this map is you can stay close to these islands and minimize damage intake very easily. If it's an open water map, and I have played a lot on open water. I've played this build quite a lot now, probably around 10 games. If you get an open water map, you are going to be taking a lot of damage all the time. You kind of need to find an island where you can minimize damage intake. That's pretty much it. Or you can just sit in the open at longer ranges. But remember, you don't have long range in this ship. And if you're going to sit at long range, well, there's no point of taking this build regardless. You should probably take the normal Republic build. This is kind of one of those funny meme builds to take. But it's actually pretty good so far. My average with this build in 10 games. Now, of course, that'll go down. But specifically with this build, because I checked the website, it's actually 202,000 average in 10 games. I would say I had a lucky run. That is not gonna stay. But, I mean, it's always fun to just keep that in mind. So we're gonna have an Ipiranga to fight. We're trying to hide from the Howden Layu bombers and the Kronstadt. But of course the bombers you can never hide from. But you can stay angled broadside to the Howden Layu, so it minimizes his bomb damage. Now we do miss the salvo there, unfortunately. But that's okay. And as you can see, we're almost dead here, but we're only on 1.1 million potential. Now, that could be either because we played pretty bad. That could be because we burned for a lot of damage. That could be for many reasons. But Republic doesn't tank as much as the other battleships, of course. I don't want to go bow into the Howden Layu, because if he bombs me once, he'll actually just smash me down. So, I also kind of want to respect that ship as well, because he does do a lot of damage. We are going to turn around, though, because the Ipiranga's soon dead. There he goes, he dies. We want to get shots on this Kronstadt and this Howden Layu, so we're going to turn back around to support our team on C. Now, this was a lucky game as well. We did get a tier 8 game, but there were tier 10 ships, of course, included, because I am a tier 10 ship, so we have to have some tier 10 ships in the game. Kronstadt, of course, being tier 9, and Howden Layu being tier 10. So, Kronstadt is actually full broadside, I believe. We activate speed boost here. We start shooting him again. Our reload is actually pretty fast still right now. It's actually 15.5, and we're not even set on fire. So if we were set on fire, it'd be incredibly fast. I've got the reload down so far to 12.2 seconds. I'm sure it can get faster than that. It wasn't even an arms race game, so it was 12.2 seconds without, for example, the 30% increase from arms race. So you could imagine what kind of reload you could get with that as well. But anyway, we're up to 271,000 damage. We just keep shooting the Howden Layu. We're trying to respect the Kagero. We don't know where the Kagero is, so we're trying to angle to his torps. And we also have the Osterjutland up there. So we want to use the island to minimize damage from the Osterjutland torps. And we also want to minimize damage from the Kagero torps. And that's why we're angled this way. We sit behind the island from the Oster, and we sit bow in to the Kagero. And that's kind of it. There's not much thought going into Battleship gameplay. It mostly is important your positioning, I would say. Your positioning is important, and your aim. If you're not good at those two things, well, you know, you kind of got to work on those, you know, for sure. Anyway, so he drops me with 2 Howden Layu drops, and what's nice about Howden Layu drops, if he misses, we do get free potential damage. Look at how our potential damage will skyrocket when these bombs hit us. Boom, 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 boom. We go from 1.7 million to 2.5 million. We get an extra heal here. We get extra top speed. So we get double buff there. And even though this happened at the end of the game here, in some games it's gonna happen way earlier on, which is gonna give you a bit of an advantage over maybe other republics that are in the game. But we end up getting here 324,000 damage, and we kind of just try to live the entire game at this point and sit with our Azuma who's hydroing, etc. But I think we should take a look at the score. Alright, so we ended up doing 324,918 damage. This is actually my highest damage Republic game. We did 109 shell hits, 4 kills, 8 citadels, Confederate, Dreadnought, High Caliber, solo cap. Team score, we got top of our team at 2.6k base XP. Detailed report, we got 76k on the Iwami, 53k on the Howden, 32k on the Kronstadt, 31k on the GK, 52k on the Ipiranga, 35k on the Oregon, 27k on the Cherbourg, and 17k on the Mesa. As you can see, 271,000 damage from AP, 23k from HE, 22k from fires, and 7,000 from secondaries. For our damage received, we received 170,000 damage. We pretty much use all our heals there though. We did have a lot of damage. Maybe that was unhealable because we were taking torps or something, but it wasn't too bad. For credits and XP, this is what we got with blue boosters, keep in mind. Alright guys, here we are back in port. Once again, I'll show my build that I showcased in this game. Oh, it's not this one. It's this one. And it's this one. It's this one. There you go. For my build recommendation, I featured it before the game, by the way. For the actual recommended build for Republic, please make sure to check that out. It'll be chaptered in the video. But for the build we actually ran in this video, it was Gunfeeder, Emergency Repair Expert, Grease the Gears, Long Range and Secondary Battery Shells, Adrenaline Rush, Improved Repair Party Readiness, Close Quarters Combat, and Furious. For equipment, we used Unique Upgrade, Ship Consumable Mod 1, Prop Mod 1, Aiming System Mod 1, Engine Boost Mod 1, and Damage Control System Mod 1. For the tech tree, because we like showing where it is in the tech tree, Republic sits here in the French line for battleships at tier 10. Of course, it does lead to patrie. Something to keep in mind also, I'll show my statistics in the ship. This includes the old Republic though. And of course, I think my average actually, so far, running this build, my average increased by around 3,000 average. Yeah, it has, because it was at 136, I would say. So 2,500 average. So the damage actually gone up. But as you can see, I have a lot of games in it, so it takes quite a while to increase that average slowly. But it has increased by 3,010 games, which is pretty good. For battles played, I fought in it for 294 games, 67% win rate, and 138,000 average, which might not be that high, especially compared to, for example, my Bourgogne. Well, my Bourgogne average is 181, and so it's not as hard of a damage farmer, I would say, the Republic. It also has worse top speed, so it makes it harder to live, and it also doesn't have reload booster for those specific situations where you can get big burst damage. But the Republic still does pretty well, and you can still do pretty well with it right now. I wouldn't say, in terms of what I actually think of the ship, I wouldn't say it's that strong of a ship. Now, of course, that was a big game, and you know, I had another big game yesterday, etc. I wouldn't say it's that strong of a ship compared to some other battleships in the game. I personally actually think Preußen is a bit better at tier 10 because it has better armor scheme. It also has the Hydro, which allows you to, you know, be a bit more comfortable when you're playing against Torp Destroyers, etc. But the Republic still is okay nowadays. I mean, it's okay. I'm having actually quite a lot of fun playing with this build. I don't know about the normal build. I'm sure it's still good. I did try it. It's okay. This build is kind of like, I wouldn't recommend you run it because it is a bit hard to make work. I would recommend you to run the normal build for Republic to have an easier time playing it, one, and two, it you know, it's a bit more comfortable to play and probably more fun. Well, I would say this build is more fun. But the Republic is still alright. It's not that good. It's alright. What its downside would be its horizontal dispersion. It's actually one of the worst in the game. But its vertical dispersion is one of the best in the game for tier 10 battleships. And it also has one of the highest sigmas in the game for battleships. It's actually the second highest sigma for battleship guns. So its sigma and its vertical dispersion are both really good, but its horizontal is one of the worst, and it ends up being, well, people call it a shotgun. I would say it's almost like a glass shotgun. I don't know. I just said that right now. I don't know if you can say that, but because you do die very fast. But you know, it's almost not like a glass cannon. Yeah, it's a glass shotgun. You know, because it's kind of like random. You know, random chance you'll smash or not. But it still can be pretty fun because you do have that fast reload. You do have decent top speed. I wouldn't say it's high top speed. Really, it isn't high top speed. You do have decent top speed though. And you do have that quick reloading 30mm overmatch guns where it restricts cruisers angling in and out, etc. That is pretty much the ship though for this video. If you want me to cover a Republic game, maybe live commentary in the future, with the normal build, with the standard build, do let me know in the comments below. I would probably just cover it anyway. But let me know what you thought of this video. I know it wasn't live commentary, guys. I saw your feedback in the Utrecht video that you don't like videos that maybe aren't live commentary. But I still hope you enjoyed me featuring this game, because I still, you know, enjoyed playing this game, and I really wanted to feature it in a video. So this was kind of the only way I was going to do it. But that's pretty much it. One more thing, guys. More than 50% of you are not subscribed to the channel who are watching the videos. I would greatly appreciate if you do leave a subscription to the channel. It does help me out grow the channel a lot, and it would help out a lot for me because I can keep doing this as a full-time almost. But please, if you can, leave a subscription, guys. It's free. I would greatly appreciate it to the channel. And one more thing, you don't have to do it, but if you want to donate that $1 a month, underneath next to the subscribe button there's a join button. I don't do sponsorships, as you know, guys, so this is the only way I kind of make a revenue, is, except for running ads, is if you leave a $1 in the join section or more, but it starts at $1 a month, you will get some emotes and a little shield next to your name every time you leave a comment. And of course, there is a super container mission available for you. You can get a super container in game as long as you have your account linked to the Wargaming account, your YouTube account to the Wargaming account. You can get a super container. You basically don't do it for the super container. You know, you do it to support the creator. You don't have to though. But if you do have a spare dollar or whatever, it does help me out a lot. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the Republic, and I'll see you in the next one. Big fan.